Hello everyone, good afternoon, and a warm welcome to our webinar on 5 reasons why you should digitalize your business with LiDAR. My name is Magdalena Höhnlinger, and I will guide you through the next approximately 45 minutes. First up, a few technical notes. In case you can't see the control panel for the moment, or if it should just disappear during the webinar, it is probably hidden behind a small white arrow on a red background in the upper right or left corner of your screen. Just click on it and you will have the possibility to enter questions already during the webinar. This is especially relevant for the Q&A session at the end of the webinar. Please note that this webinar will be recorded and published afterwards. Our expert speaker who is here with me today is Terje Neuwig, Managing Director and COO at Blickfeld, who kindly jumped in as Blickfeld co-founder Florian Petit is unfortunately sick. Terje will start to introduce himself and Blickfeld before he moves on to a short introduction to LiDAR technology. And then we will jump right into the 5 reasons why you should digitalize your business with LiDAR. But before we start, I would like to know how familiar you are with LiDAR technology. We prepared a short poll and we would kindly ask you to simply choose the answer that best describes your experience with LiDAR. I've heard of LiDAR technology before. I've experience in working with LiDARs. I'm not familiar with LiDAR technology. All right, we see the results. We see that most of you have some experience with LiDAR. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Terje to kick off the webinar.
Thank you, Magdalena. Let me get started by quickly introducing myself and then Blickfeld. My name is Terje Neuwig. I joined Blickfeld in 2020 and have been with the company now for about 3 years. Blickfeld was founded with a goal to develop a product solution that would make LiDAR technology accessible to every industry that profits from digitalizing its environments, thereby making the world safer, smarter, and more efficient. As COO and Managing Director at Blickfeld, I work with various partners and customers to realize projects across multiple industries, and I look forward to sharing a few projects with you today. And with that, let's jump in right away. LiDARs have been around for some time, however, clunky and very expensive. In the last years, LiDAR has gained popularity as a disruptive technology in the automotive space for autonomous driving, as well as in the consumer electronics industry. One example is the Apple iPhone, which was released in 2020 and features a LiDAR scanner on the rear camera system. The LiDAR scanner enables the iPhone to create true 3D images. As an example, you can scan a room and place furniture in a virtual reality environment. But application areas for LiDAR are not only limited to the consumer or the automotive space. It has the potential to disrupt and transform the industrial space from logistics to security. But first off, how does the technology work for those who are not familiar with it yet? On the left, you can see a picture of a busy street. Looking at the image, you could think that the 4 people are currently crossing the street, when in reality, they're actually painted. A camera solution here would identify them as actual people, as it can only see in 2D. Now, LiDAR technology leaves no room for interpretation as to whether an object is really on the road or not. As you can see on the right side in the LiDAR point cloud, every object is detected in 3D. So how does that work? The sensors emit laser pulses, which get reflected by objects in the scene, and the reflections are detected by the sensor. Based on the time it took to send out the laser pulse and detect the reflection, the distance of the reflecting object is determined. LiDARs capture direct 3D data and thus skip the intermediate step of converting 2D to 3D. LiDAR identifies the exact dimensions of objects and distance to every pixel in an image. This process is repeated then thousands of times per second while the LiDAR is scanning the scene. The result is a 3D point cloud containing valuable information. Due to the nature of the data, entire environments, and thus businesses, can be mapped and digitalized. This data can be used, for example, as the basis for digital twins or to improve processes. Before we move on now, I'd like to know in which industry you're actually operating or working in, so that I think helps us a little bit to see also in terms of Q&A how to proceed. So the results should be there any second. Here we go. So quite a number of people out of the security space. I think you're going to love this session then. Automotive, I think it's a natural candidate for LiDAR, absolutely. And then we have logistics and chemicals. Super, great, thanks. So let's move on. There are a wide variety of application areas that benefit from this data. We will now dive into 5 reasons why you should digitalize your application with LiDAR. Reason number 1, LiDAR sensors deliver rich, accurate, real-time data from which you can derive valuable business information. But how do you make actionable information out of 3D data? So point clouds, as we call them. Because only actionable information is, in the end, of value for customers. This is where our perception software called Percept comes in to analyze the LiDAR data to extract the information you need. The powerful algorithms in combination with our Percept API simplify value extraction from advanced 3D data and enable the quick creation of continuous real-time data processing. Let's look at a concrete example. What do you do at airports? Well, you wait. You wait for check-in, you wait for security, and you wait for boarding. This is a totally frustrating process for the passengers, and actually no value generation for the airport as well. If you understand passenger flows, you can better plan staffing and thus optimize your supply chain of people flows. Ultimately, if you think of an airport or an airport operator, they are managing multiple supply chains: airplanes, cargo and luggage, service vehicles, and passengers. Passengers is the most complex supply chain, as you hardly have any information today. So to make the prediction more precise, the airport operator we work together with was looking for a sensor solution that could provide anonymous real-time data to calculate the location and number of people arriving at checkpoints, such as the security check. This would allow staffing to adapt to the actual passenger traffic and cut down long waiting times. By monitoring the general movement of people in the check-in hall, as well as queue lengths with LiDAR, the customer is able to track the number of people and time it takes for people to move through it accurately in a dashboard in real time. Based on this information, they can manage now their queues proactively and improve efficiency and planning, reduce waiting times, which results in improved customer satisfaction. And ultimately, optimized waiting times, if you think again about the waiting and waiting and waiting you have at various stages, means you have more time for the passenger to actually spend money on shopping, on eating, or other activities. And that increases customer satisfaction and drives revenue and profit growth for an airport operator. In addition, the data can be used to create heat maps to identify highly frequented walking paths and points of interest. So providing valuable insights, for example, for store operators or even looking at malls to optimize store locations, opening hours, staffing, etc. So to sum up our first reason, as LiDAR data is anonymous by design, the sensor collects 3D data that contains valuable distance data, but no color information, and therefore meets privacy compliance standards, making the technology ideal for use in public spaces. Thanks to APIs, LiDAR can be easily integrated into existing IT infrastructures, such as ERP systems, and dashboards display relevant information just with a few clicks, enabling businesses to make database decisions. This leads to satisfied customers, increased operational efficiencies, and sales growth, thanks to accurate data by improving the entire supply chain. As just mentioned in the airport example, companies often lack real-time live data, which is key to running operations smoothly and efficiently. Which brings me to reason number 2, real-time information. One of our customers in the waste management sector manually measured stored material once a day by lowering the waste gripper at various points in the waste bunker to determine the fill level. As you can imagine, this caused not only additional effort for the staff, but also led to inaccuracy in the data. To make things worse, during weekends and holidays, data was often not available. For the waste burning facility, it meant redirecting waste trucks if you are overloaded, or lost opportunities as there was still space in the bunker. By using LiDAR sensors, the company can assess the inventory in the bunker continuously in real time and optimize supply chains even across facilities. Thanks to the intrinsic light source, LiDAR sensors are completely independent of lighting conditions and can thus continuously collect data on site 24/7, also in dark and dusty areas. So companies do not have to rely on costly manual external measurement or even inspection services, whose data is basically out of date as soon as it is received because it's so static. As data is continuously being recorded, processes can be updated and adjusted in real time. The first couple of examples that I have shared with you have been from 2 very different industries. First, we talked about queues at an airport, and just now about the volume of waste in a bunker. And there are a lot more application areas for LiDAR, and the reason for that is that a LiDAR solution can be easily adapted. What do I mean by that? Hardware and software can be adapted to your needs. Again, we are back at the airport, but this time we're not focusing on the passengers, but on the airplanes themselves. They need to be secured while parked on the ground. A task that security personnel only can accomplish with the support of technology because there are so many airplanes typically. There are challenges like weather conditions, aircraft are not always parked in the same spot, and they come in different sizes, which needs to be considered. This is where LiDAR sensors come in handy. The large field of view enables wide coverage, so only a few sensors are needed to cover the airfield. But how does the technology support security staff now? By creating virtual alarm zones, what you see here in the 3D example here, around the planes, with our perception software, unauthorized persons or even small objects can be detected automatically with high reliability, and an alarm can be generated. Those zones can simply be adjusted in terms of size or position. They can be easily added or removed via drag and drop when the parking position changes or a larger aircraft is parked. And this can be applied to all use cases, from security to volume monitoring. Thanks to these features, operations do not have to be interrupted when the detection zones need to be adjusted. No additional external service is required, which makes processes easier and more efficient, leading overall to low operational costs. This brings me to the next reason, process insights. I will share another example to show you what I mean by that. Imagine you are a manufacturer of bulk goods. Bulk goods are very difficult to measure with today's technologies. Scales do not really work for large facilities. They are very, very costly, and you can only weigh your material, and you cannot weigh your material at multiple steps in the supply chain. At this particular example, the bulk goods material company missed sales opportunities and had higher costs due to the intransparency in its processes. This customer has multiple warehouses, and the company does not know exactly how much material is stored where across the facilities. So when an inquiry comes in, sales actually has to call all the warehouses to see if there is enough inventory available. And the warehouses, stock levels have to be measured then manually, like this. And this leads to additional time and effort across all functions from sales to shipping. And errors are bound to occur. Just imagine the cost impact if you order 10 trucks to get stuff away, but in the end you only need 8. You still have to pay for 2 more. And vice versa, you order 8, but you need 10. Then your customer is not happy. Thanks to LiDAR, inventory monitoring is being digitalized, and the process, as well as potential bottlenecks, can be detected. Just a click and the sales team knows the current status of the inventory, which enables them to move faster, but also makes operations in the warehouse more efficient. This example shows that the use of LiDAR solutions provides insights that have been hard to collect before. They are now available. So former black holes in the supply chain suddenly become visible and help to optimize operations. For example, improve staffing or reducing unexpected downtimes. And that typically in the bulk material industry, in the core processes of these enterprises. Think also of air freight logistics. Dimensions and weight are the driving factors for the pricing. Today, there is no efficient way to measure dimensions because it's so high quantities. And this again, where LiDAR comes into play. The fifth and last reason why you should digitalize is that LiDAR delivers reliable data. So for all those security guys out there, this is especially relevant for you. In order to provide optimum protection for properties and areas, intelligence solutions are needed that only trigger an alarm when someone actually tries to break in. Legacy technology produce high amounts of false alarms and are unreliable in darkness or adverse weather conditions, such as snow, rain, and fog, and are easy to manipulate. In the video here, you can see a camera feed and LiDAR point clouds overlooking a section of a fence. An alarm area was defined in which an alarm is triggered in the event of an intrusion. The solution reliably detects and classifies objects automatically. So for example, small animals such as rabbits, birds, or foxes are not detected as intruders and no alarm is triggered. So LiDAR sensors hardly trigger false alarms, but reliably detect intrusion attempts and are an excellent extension for security systems, especially for critical infrastructure like water, energy, and high-value properties. It reduces the false alarm rate compared to cameras, saving costs on security personnel and counteracting alarm fatigue. But reliable data is not just key for security systems. Also in accounting for bulk material, accurate information is relevant to meet compliance or financial reporting requirements, while at the same time providing utmost transparency. To sum up, LiDAR solutions are flexible and can easily be adapted to your needs. By providing actionable, reliable data in real time, your processes become more transparent, efficient, and digital, giving you a competitive edge. In the examples I shared in the last minutes, we've only seen a glimpse of application areas for LiDAR solutions. The industrial field is very wide, and also the 4 areas covered on this slide are not exhaustive, but certainly a focus area for Blickfeld. So industrial automation, security, crowd analytics, and everything around smart cities. Last but not least, here is my call for action. Leverage the power of LiDAR data and start to digitalize your businesses today. LiDARs offer such a vast new field in driving business performance forward. And I look forward to discuss with you your use cases.